Sorry, I chose the wrong camera, the one that I don't have hooked up. I don't know how I'm going to correct that. Uh,
You don't have to correct it if you don't want to. It's okay with me. You
all
can
right.
stay like you are. You
Yeah.
might be able to click the settings button, but don't worry about it. Um, I mean, Daniel, I've never seen you. It's possible that this is better.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Oh,
okay? Let me add
figured
you
it
here.
out.
You figured it out. Okay, cool. Daniel, how you doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah. Like I said, I'm pretty much brand new to this. I've put out a couple of broadcasts so far. I've got a friend that's also interested in getting started with broadcasting, and we've been talking about kind of layman's philosophy type things, just
Oh,
daily living things and making decisions and how
oh,
we come about making those decisions, things
oh! I
like
like
that.
that. Yes, there's a whole philosophy and science on decision making, and you might be familiar with this, but it's one of the reasons why Steve Jobs and guys like Zuckerberg always wear the same outfit. This is what I've heard because there is such a thing called decision fatigue, where you only have so many good decisions in you per day, and they didn't want their outfit to be one of those decisions.
Yep. Yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah, it's an interesting theory. I don't know much about it. About you, you've summarized basically everything I know about it, but yeah, it's
Me too.
interesting.
So you're in Japan, and I don't want to be
Right?
racist, but you don't seem like you're Japanese.
No, I'm not. But I've been here for more than half of my life now,
Oh
so
wow,
I'm getting closer. Yeah, I've
wow.
been
So
here for
okay,
32.
okay. And what brought you to Japan in the first place?
The same thing that I'm still doing here is teaching English at universities here in Japan.
That's fantastic. I had a comedian. I'm a comedian. I had a comedian friend in New York who did that for a while. I'm positive you don't know him. I mean, I guess Corey Jarvis, if you know Corey Jarvis. Um,
No.
Unbelievable. Uh, but yeah, that's. I mean, Japan. I've never been to Japan. I have never been
Oh.
to Asia. Is that right? Yeah, I don't think I've been to Asia, but it seems like such a marvelous country.
Oh, Japan is wonderful. I'm so happy to be here. Well, obviously, I've been here for 30 years. As far as Asia, yeah, when I travel, basically it's Asia. I visit the Philippines quite often. I love it there. It's warm all the time. It's great to go there during the Japanese winters, which can get cold. I'm from Iowa, actually, originally,
Okay.
and so the winters are nothing compared to Iowa winters, but it
Well,
is
now
nice to get out of the cold.
now we understand why you moved. Um, so, uh, what what made you decide? Now I know that you went to Japan to teach English, but when did that pop into your head? Was it something you always wanted to do?
Well, I've always wanted to travel, but more than just travel, I wanted to experience a foreign culture. And instead of kind of looking at the culture through a glass window, I wanted to actually feel part of that culture. And I knew that traveling for a couple of weeks during my vacations was not going to be sufficient for me to experience the culture on the level that I wanted to. So by becoming an English teacher, I thought that I can earn my living while experiencing these foreign cultures. My original plan was to experience several different cultures, teach in different places, different countries around, especially around Asia. But I came to Japan and kind of got stuck here. I've enjoyed it so much.
Well, that's amazing. Now, so you teach English. So teach me a sentence in English. Teach me how to say an English sentence.
Teach you how to say an English sentence. Uh, you know everything that I was going to teach you. So
I mean, I
I,
didn't put you on
I
the spot or anything. It seems like you've been doing it for 30 years. You'd be able to teach me an English sentence, but yeah.
Well, I mean, part of what I do is, adjusting, my teaching methods to match the level of my students. And since you're a native speaker, you kind of put me on the spot because I don't really
I'm sorry.
teach
We'll
native
never.
speakers.
Next time we talk, I expect a sentence. Um,
Okay.
so, do you live? Where do you live in Japan?
Kumamoto, it's on the island of Kyushu.
Wow.
And that's they call it Western Japan. It's kind of southwest. Uh, it's near Nagasaki.
Okay.
which is a team that everybody knows, right? Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
I know it from a
So
song,
yeah,
but I won't repeat it. Now, by the way, anybody watching in the comments, I'm very happy to talk with Daniel. But my goal here is to interview every broadcaster that has ever or will ever broadcast on Happs. And so, if you want an invitation to join us, please let me know. Don't be shy, and I'm happy to add you to the conversation as well. Um, I know one word. Well, I mean, besides like sayonara. Did you hear my American accent? That's sayonara. Um, I know one word. I dated a girl from Japan in college. Her name was Reiko, which she told me means the sound a bell makes. Reiko, Reiko, Reiko,
Hmm.
Reiko. That's what she said. I don't know. Maybe she was lying to me. She told me one word, which was, and I have said this word to Japanese speakers, and some of them know it, and some of them don't. Um, Heavy Ichigo.
Heavy Ichigo.
Yes, that's what she said. She told me that it meant snakeberry.
Yeah, that would be right, but I'm actually not aware of Hebi Ichigo. Hebi, yeah, means snake, literally translated to snake, and Ichigo is strawberry. Yeah, so snakeberry, I guess, would be an accurate translation, but I'm not
Now,
familiar with that particular item.
she was from Tokyo, and she told me that it was a poisonous berry, and that I should never eat a heavy ichigo. And I'll tell you, it's been about, oh gosh, 25 years, and I never have.
Okay, good. I haven't either. I'm actually, like I said, it's the first time I've actually heard that word. Ichigo and Hebi are both very common, but that combination is first time.
Well, so Marty, you're welcome. Look, Marty, I'm going to send you an invitation here, so you don't have to take me up on it, no pressure, but I'm going to invite you. Oh, that's cool. Oh, why can't I? Oh, I have to. Oh, Marty Johnny. Marty Johnsy. There you go. You think Jonesy, but it's Johnsy. Did you have something that you required penicillin when she told you that? No, no. I believe no one's more surprised than me that I never picked up a well, we call them an STD. Now they're STIs, sexually transmitted infections. Now I was always shocked that I never got one. Um, so Daniel, you're an expat, but are you still an American citizen, or do you have dual citizenship?
No, just the American citizenship so far. Yeah,
Wow,
and
so
it's
30
probably
years. So you just keep on like renewing your was like a
no.
work visa or
I have the Japanese equivalent of a green card, I guess, a permanent residence. Yeah.
yeah, I'm laughing because somebody invited somebody that hasn't been in a broadcast with us for over a year, and I don't even think he's on this platform. That's cool. So now, do you find yourself mostly hanging out with Americans, Brits, Australians, or Japanese people, or is it a mix?
It's
What's your
pretty much a mix. Yeah, it's pretty much a mix. I mean, I mean, my colleagues at the university where I teach are a mix. The next door office is another American, but the other teachers in the department are Japanese. Where there's only two Americans at this particular campus. Other schools where I have taught or teaching, again, it's the same type of situation. Socially, friend wise, well, my wife is actually Filipina, which is another reason why I visit the Philippines quite often.
hmm
After 30 years in Kumamoto, which is the pronunciation Kumamoto, I've got a lot of Japanese friends.
That's great. If you ever run into Reiko Fujikawa, you just tell her I said hi. Uh,
Okay, will do.
yeah. What was I going to ask you? So the philosophy broadcast sound really interesting, and I'm totally up for being the guest. By the way, if you ever want to guest, and
Great.
my dad, he lives in New York, and he before the pandemic, he would travel into the city each week for a philosophy meeting in the Sony building, and he's really, really into philosophy. I actually bought him, oh gosh, Will Durant's book on philosophy, which is really this fantastic little book. I don't know, 50, 60 years old. Um, so when you talk, the kind of philosophy you're going to go over, can you explain it again?
I mean, I refer to it as layman's philosophy. I actually, it's just a hobby of mine. The thought experiments and so on. But things like we talked about, for example, well, let's see, what's a question that we ask?
I have no idea. I wasn't there.
What harsh truths do you prefer to ignore? What harsh truths do you prefer to ignore? We talked about that. That was one of the things. And not going from the perspective of the Camus or a Sartre or a Kant and so on, but just in our daily lives, as laymen, how do we view that question? What are our answers to those kinds of questions and so on? As free will, we talked about free will. Why do we do the things that we do is another question that we've talked about.
Yeah. These are very good questions. I just started practicing mindfulness, and it's that's been the first thing I've thought about in a long time. That is really, and I don't mean this as a joke, but it's really blown my mind. Because part of mindfulness, and part of what got me thinking about this, I read an article about how some people have no internal monologue. And by internal monologue, I mean that, there's a voice, it's your voice in your head that is thinking, and you're thinking, and you're singing, or you're thinking, and whatever, you're practicing what you're going to say. And some people don't have it. And if they don't have it, they don't think anybody else does. They're shocked to learn that other people have an internal monologue. And people like me, and possibly you, who have internal monologues, you're like, well, what the hell is going on in their head then? It's just this, like, there's nothing. It's just this blank. You just go around. But what's interesting is it kind of reminds me a little bit about what mindfulness is trying to teach, which is that your thoughts are not always your thoughts. So you've heard of your inner critic,
right?
So you have your inner critic, and that's not your thoughts. That's just your brain throwing stuff out there because it's just feeling a certain way. But that's not necessarily you. And a lot of your thoughts, I was talking to a therapist about this because I was like, you have to explain to me what the hell this is. So I said, my thoughts are not my thoughts. She said, no, your thoughts are your thoughts, but sometimes your brain, which our brains have evolved over millions of years, sometimes that reptilian center of your brain, which is all about survival, it's all about even caveman brain, where you're like, a tiger is going to come into this cave and I have to survive. Like, we don't have tigers in caves anymore for the most part, and but your brain still acts like it does, and that's where a lot of anxiety comes from, and that's where a lot of these thoughts come from. She's like, that is not your thoughts. Those are not your thoughts. Those are your brain just popping things in there because it thinks you need them to survive. And you have to train your brain to be like, shut it, I'm fine. And then the things you think beyond that and your inner critic are your thoughts. Does that make sense at all? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it does. It does. And it's interesting because I am a person with the internal dialogue, and for me, the challenge is to turn it off.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So meditation, is
Yes.
one form of kind of stopping the internal dialogue.
Yes, that is right. And a lot of people think, hello, is it Hales? Haley. Hello, Haley. By the way, Haley, anybody else, if you want an invitation to come and talk with me, I haven't pre-planned anything. Oh, thank you. I'm just inviting people who broadcast or are thinking about broadcast on and talking to them. It's very spontaneous. So if you'd like an invitation, please don't be shy. I'm happy to invite you. I'm happy to have you come on. I had no idea Daniel was going to be on. I'm pleased as punch that he is. But don't be shy. I want to interview every broadcaster that's ever broadcasted or will broadcast on Happs.
There's a Stephen that asked a question about teaching in Japan that I was going to get away from philosophy and answer that. I thought.
Go ahead.
I got a master's degree in linguistics with an emphasis on teaching English, and that's how I came to Japan with a master's degree. And today, you would need probably at least a master's degree or a PhD in order to get the type of job that I have right now, a tenured position at a university. But if you just want to teach, for example, at a foreign language school, or be like a classroom assistant at a junior high school or high school, There are programs. There's the Japan, or there's the JET program. I'm not even sure. That's not how I came, but I have several friends that have come on the JET program, and they're basically, if you have an American university degree in just about anything, if you're a native speaker, basically what they want is somebody to look foreign and be a native speaker. And there are things that you can do. You can spend a year or two or even 3 years in the JET program. So that's a short answer to your question.
That's cool. I think linguistics is so interesting. I worked with a linguistics teacher. He was a high school, I think he was a high school English teacher at a private school, but he had a doctorate in linguistics. And I think his concentration was like, I'm probably gonna say it wrong, like Indo-European, like root languages. Does that make sense at all, what I just said?
Sure.
And so he recited Beowulf like as it would have been recited, and he would perform Shakespeare as if it would have been said, with that era's accent and language, and it was so interesting. It really, I actually ended up helping him put together a one-man show about his, about linguistics and the history of language, and so interesting.
Yeah,
So
I loved it. Like I said, I got into linguistics basically because I had the goal of becoming an English teacher, and the English teaching the foreign language as a foreign language. That program was within the linguistics department at the university where I went. But I really enjoyed the linguistics, and there are so many things that I had never thought about regarding linguistics or regarding language, that how closely related language and culture are. The fact, they're really inseparable. If you're going to learn a language, you necessarily must know a lot about the culture in order to be able to use that language correctly. And that's something I hadn't really thought about. I thought, basically, if you had the dictionary in your head, if you knew the words and you knew how to put them together properly, the grammar, that you were going to be able to communicate smoothly. But that's not the case. If you're not aware of the culture, you're not going to be able to communicate on the level that you really hope to.
now, why is that? Are you speaking to the vernacular, or do you mean?
Well, yeah. So, for example, like I said, there's a famous case in Japan where there was a man who was working as a translator at a Japanese company, and they were dealing with an international contract with a German company, and they had come to negotiations, but the Germans wanted a 10% discount or something, and the Japanese said, "Muzakashi desu ne." And if you look up "muzakashi" in the dictionary, it'll say difficult. And so the translator translated, said, "That's difficult." And the German said, "Okay, great, then we'll do it," right? And because the Germans interpreted difficult as an English speaker, I do also, that difficult is something that's hard to do, not easy, but it's possible, right?
Right.
But in Japan, if you say difficult, that means no. It's an absolute no, right? So that's where you can put it together a grammatical sentence, but if you don't know how the words are actually interpreted, there is a word for no, but they just don't say it to be polite. They say difficult, and that means no.
Aren't there like dozens of different ways to say love in Japanese?
Yes, there are. There are dozens of ways. There are dozens of ways to say no. There are dozens of ways to say yes. As I said, So it's an amazing language, very deep and rich, and honorifics. Depending on whether the person is your social equal or lower or higher, and a family member or just a friend, and so on. So many different ways that you phrase things. The honorific level. They have many different honorifics levels.
Oh, that's interesting. So how many languages are you comfortable with?
Well, I get along okay in Japanese. The spoken language is easier for me than the written language, because
Sure.
they use they use the Chinese characters, as well as the Roman alphabet, as well as their two more of their own native Japanese alphabets that they use. But the spoken language I'm pretty comfortable with. I'm learning a little bit of which is the language in the area of the Philippines that I most frequently visit, but I'm not really comfortable with that. I studied Spanish in high school, and I've visited Spain and Mexico and so on. And that's about it. So linguistically, I'm pretty limited. I've played around with Korean a little bit because it has a lot of parallels to Japanese, but the pronunciation of Korean is quite challenging. They have a differentiation that neither Japanese nor English has. That's a little hard to master for me.
I'm starting to. This is a great app. I don't know if you've heard of it, Duolingo.
Oh yes.
And I'm really enjoying it. I'm on about day 30 of Latin, and I it's almost with English. English, as you know, is more like a Germanic language than a Romance language, but we have a lot of the same kind of words. We have words derived from Latin, and so like today, for instance, they started talking about the theater, and I cannot tell you what the exact word for actor is, but I know it is like histrionic or something to that effect. But I know that histrionics is another word for theater, and so I was like, oh, it's got to be this word. That's exactly what. So, but I wanted to start with Latin and then make my way. I took Spanish in high school as well, so just a little bit. And so I wanted to work my way Spanish or Latin, and then do all the Romance languages. And it's funny, they actually also have High Valerian from Lord of the Rings, Klingon, Esperanto. They're supposedly coming out with Yiddish, which I'm interested in. Let's see. Hale says, I don't understand why they say it's a dead language if so many people speak Latin. Well, who speaks Latin now? Hales. It is a dead language because I don't think there's any native culture that speaks Latin, which is different than people learning Latin. But I think most people learn Latin just to have an easier time with other languages, but also to be able to maybe study ancient texts. Or, I mean, why else would somebody study Latin, do you think, Daniel?
Because so many of the English root words come from Latin. New medical terms and so on often are based on Latin
Oh,
root
yeah.
words and so on. So yeah, if you're going to expand your vocabulary, Latin is a great language to learn. Latin and Greek, those two. In fact, I took a class at the university actually before I joined the linguistics program called Greek and Latin for Vocabulary Building, and breaking down different words in English, and you can seeing the etymology of the word and finding the Greek or Latin roots. And then when you find a new word that has some of those same roots, at least you have an idea of what that word is about. So yeah, it's a great way to improve your vocabulary, expand your vocabulary.
I know 3 or 4 people that know it. Oh yeah, no. Well, a lot of schools still teach Latin, so it's definitely a language to learn. It's just a dead language because nobody really speaks it. I mean, I'm not even sure if they fully know. And Daniel, you might know this better than me. I'm not even sure if they fully know how people actually spoke the language.
Right. Yeah. The pronunciation seems to be still an unknown. They know the grammar and so on of the language. They know the vocabulary and grammar, but yeah, the pronunciation is they have to backtrack from the current Romance language, which probably Romanian is the closest to Latin of the 5 major Romance languages that are Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Romanian. So yeah, English is a Germanic language, but there is so much borrowing, again, because of the culture, so much borrowing from, especially from French, because French culture dominated the continent of Europe for so many years, and again, the strong influence from Rome, from the Latin languages and so on, and as we talked about before, the new vocabulary, especially scientific vocabulary and so on. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think at a certain point, the upper crust of England only spoke French.
Yes, yeah, I heard that too. Yeah, not my area of specialty, but yeah.
I'm not sure if I have an area of specialty, so you're up on that one on me. What language do you think is? I don't know, Daniel. What language do you think is easiest to learn?
Well, that depends on your starting point. For an English speaker, then actually the Romance languages like Spanish and so on are fairly easy to learn. There are so many cognates, so many words that seem to be just a slightly different form, a variation on words that we already know. As you also know, from your study of Spanish, right? It's one of the easier ones to learn. Japanese seems to be one of the more difficult ones to learn. The grammar is different. There are no cognates, no words that sound anything like what we use, except those that are borrowed. So I live in an apato, which of course comes from apartment, and department stores, depato, and so on. So there are some things, but those are direct borrowings from English. But the native Japanese language doesn't have anything really in common with English at all. Whereas at least the vocabulary seems familiar to most English speakers when you're talking about comparing Spanish to English.
I'll tell you, I'm very consistent in languages because I'm terrible grammatically in every language, including English. And I write. I'm a writer, and I tell my clients, I'm like, yeah. I had a client once who was like, the period. I said, listen, I'm writing you comedy. You're not going to get grammar from me. If that's what you need, it's a deal breaker. Just you can put in the periods and the semicolons where it's supposed to be. I'm writing you. I'm writing for speaking. But when I'm learning Latin, I know the words. But if I had to take a test, on the conjugating the verbs and the different, there's no way I'd ever pass it. But I think once you're out of academics and you're just learning it to learn it, yes, of course you want to learn it the correct way, but it's not as daunting because you can just kind of learn it.
Right, right. Yeah, and to me, in Japan, everybody studies English for at least 6 years, all the way through junior high school and high school. They have English classes every year for 6 years, but they come out and they really can't communicate. For one thing, because the sounds, the pronunciation, the sounds of the languages are very different. And so to make it easier for them to get a handle on the language, they translate it into their own alphabet, the Japanese alphabet, what they call katakana, in order to write foreign words. But a lot of those symbols don't actually map accurately to the English pronunciation, and so they come out with this katakanaized English pronunciation that is almost impossible for someone who doesn't know Japanese to understand. If you came straight from America or England or Australia to Japan, not knowing anything about the Japanese language, and you heard them speaking this katakanaized English, you really wouldn't be able to understand. So they're not able to communicate orally. The written language also is not very good. Again, that probably because the grammar is so different from English grammar. They don't have articles like or the and so on. They don't use plurals the same way that we do and so on. So it becomes very difficult for them.
And so is there no L sound in Japanese?
Well, the L sound is kind of somewhere between our L and R. So they have the radi-do-de-ro, and so if it was L, it would be la li lu le lo, and if it was R, it'd be ra ri ru re ro. But theirs is kind of in between, the radi-do-de-ro. So which is it? Is it an L sound that's that's not very clear, or is it an R sound that's not very clear? It's somewhere in between.
And it's interesting because, like the history of language, you wonder why these sounds came to be originally, because it's not as if, Japanese people biologically, can't say the L sound. And it's not as if like I can't biologically roll my tongue, my R's, but I can't. I probably if I started doing it at a very young age, or I guess if I practiced really hard, maybe I could. But it's, like all these sounds are made up. All these words are made up. We weren't given like here is. I mean, I guess we are now. Here's the language, but the language had to evolve and grow, and it's just like money. Everybody had to agree on it that green means green in English,
Right.
And so it is interesting just to think about why is it that the language is like it is? Like, I don't know if it's an urban legend or not, but Spanish, from Spain has the, cerveza. And the story that I've heard is that there was a very beloved king who had a terrible lisp and he could not say cerveza. And so everybody just said, "Oh yeah, cerveza, absolutely. That we're all gonna back you up on that." Do you know that story? Is there any truth in that? I don't mean to put you on the spot
I
again.
don't know that. I don't know that story. No, I don't. But a lot of the sounds of any language start because I mean, what we see in children is they're developing language. The first words that many children will say would be, for example, papa or mama or baba, because there's a very big difference between the stop, the mouth closed, making that sound, like in the ba or the pa, and the vowel sound, the ah sound. So that's a big difference. And so that's how languages start is with these differences, and then as you want to have include more meanings, more different vocabulary words, you need different ways to differentiate those words, and so different languages have made different choices as to how to differentiate those
Yeah.
sounds.
Well, and I know that most countries have like official either positions or departments that make the decisions on the language. I know the French has something to that effect, um,
Yes.
because and
Yeah,
they make decisions.
The British have reserve. What is it? The British have the received pronunciation. So there is a proper way to say something in British English. There is a proper pronunciation. Whereas American English, we don't really have that. As long as you can
Mhm.
communicate that pronunciation, it's okay, I guess.
Well, but there is an official. It's just that there's also vernacular and people accept it. And but it's just interesting as to why letters were put on, why they were dropped. Why did we drop the U in American English and most of trying to think what like favor. And I think it was just I think it was just for ease. Um, by the way, I'm looking it up, and apparently that Spanish story is an urban legend.
Oh,
And you can probably Google why it is that they had the lisp, quote unquote, but it is not that. Although it is a well-known urban legend. Hey, Bernie, how you doing? Thank you for the super heart. I appreciate it. By the way, I want to say thank you to our sponsors. You can get monetized on this app. I don't know if you know that there are those awards that people can give, and I
mhm.
don't know if everybody can receive sponsors or if you have to be verified. I'm not sure about that. But for me, I want to thank my sponsors, Admiral Yoder, Mark Gage, Jack Beery, Tina Lynn, Sports for the Blind, and Jason Short. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you for watching, everybody. So when do you think you're going to officially start broadcasting for reals here on the app?
Well, I don't know. I've been watching, like YouTubers and so on that have advice for getting started and things. And one of the common pieces of advice that I've been hearing is that you need to start before you're ready, and to just
Right,
start
right.
putting out material, and build up an amount of material there, and then kind of fall into your own kind of stride and so on. And so that's basically what I'm looking at. I'm
Yeah.
trying to do it on as regular a basis as I can. And for me, I've got so Jeff Morrow is another professor at a different university, and we have been using this a couple of times. Like I said, doing the layman's philosophy broadcast there, and so that's really what I'm trying to do. See how it works. Try to find my own stride in this.
Yeah, I agree with you. You definitely should just start. I mean, a lot of I've talked to the comedians about broadcasting, and they always get nervous because stand-up comedians, especially, they write almost everything out and they practice it, and they're like, "Oh, I'm just going to get on and talk." I was like, "Yeah, just get on and talk. Why not?" Admiral is saying that in Arizona, there's a city called Prescott, and a local newscaster decades ago pronounced it Prescott, and it became so popular and funny, locals still call it that. I've been to Prescott a few times, and originally I was like Prescott, and they were like, "No, it's Prescott." I was like, "Oh, okay." I love Prescott. Prescott is really nice, and they have a fantastic brewery there. Um, It's like an old West town. They have like I think they have one of the oldest like Old West bars or saloons in the country.
Cool. But look, I've had a great time here, and I'm so
Yes.
happy that. Thank you so much for inviting me. But I need to get to work. I'm here in my office now. I need to actually do some work. But thanks very much.
Thank you. Hope to see you again soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Take them off. Okay. And I think you have to exit to actually get out.
Oh,
And so just so you know, even though you're off screen, we can still hear you. Well, there you go. Okay. Well, actually, now your camera's off. We'll just close the tab, and then you can always re-enter if you want to. Okay. So let's see here. All right, who's next? Let's see. I wonder if I uninvite. Does he? Oh, he's still there. Okay. Oh, dropped. I see. Okay. All right. So one down. Now I don't know how many. Now, first of all, thank you, Daniel. That was really great. What a nice guy. Everybody should follow him. Daniel Miner. That's the name, right? And Bernie, thanks again for the super hard. And Admiral, thank you for the Creative Genius Award. I'll take it. Hales, thank you very much. Now, if you're not following me here, follow me here on Happs.tv. And if you will perhaps are watching me on Facebook, I might not be able to see your comments. So come on over to Happs, and then I can. 'Cause I see I have a lot of notifications on Facebook. And yes, people are commenting, but I cannot see your comments. So if you want to, come on over. All right. So who's next? Wait, where'd my Happs tab go? There it is. Oh, thank you, Daniel. That was great. And I'm gonna make sure that I follow you right now. Let's see. Reply that. Subscribe to user. I just subscribed to you, Daniel. I look forward to your broadcasts. All right. Now, if you have a favorite broadcaster, you can do at, the little at, the at symbol, and then you write their name, and maybe they'll come in and be interviewed. I have some more time if anybody wants to be interviewed here. And also, if you've already been on the broadcast, you are allowed to come on again, because I am trying to interview every broadcaster in the same broadcast. Tomorrow, I'm just gonna take it easy. I've started to change my diet because like I said before, I've been feeling like shit. Um, and I don't know. Oh, during the first of the interview, I heard a young woman with a Japanese accent say, "The fuck is that?" Say, "Please charge." It took me a minute to figure out it was my Bluetooth headphones. Oh, that's funny. That's funny, Admiral. Was a I don't think it was a bug. I think it was like some kind of weird, just fucking thing. I don't know. I don't know if I'm having like slight panic attacks or if I'm just stressed out. And I know my blood pressure is higher than I want it to be. I bought one of those blood pressure cuffs, and it's like, you have high blood pressure. I'm like, oh shit. And so I've had a couple of times where I felt dizzy. Although I will say, 2 years ago, around this season, now if you've been watching me for a while, this is my allergy season, right? This is when I always get sick. Try not to, because I don't want to confuse like getting sick from allergies for COVID. Try moving sugar. Yes. By the way, Paul, you said something yesterday during the broadcast. I did not know what you meant. I didn't know what you meant. Yeah. That's typical Japanese English. Oh, what Admiral said. Um, so I have gone like 95% vegetarian, and I'm going to start looking up veganism. My protein intake is pretty good. Weirdly enough, like 2 years ago, yeah, I had just moved to Vegas the year before. I was from, New York, and used to New York weather. I started getting dizzy, and I'm dying. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but I'm dying. And I finally went to the doctor, and I'm like, I feel dizzy like all the time. I feel like disassociated from my own body. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, it could be allergies when you take some allergy pills. And I'm like, I've had allergies my whole life. This does not feel like allergies. I'm like, okay. Like 2 days later, I was fine. So maybe it's a combination of that and just being stressed out. So I've started to exercise. I have started to limit my calorie intake. By the way, nothing crazy. I'm just eating better food that fills me up. Um, I'm not I've had a piece of chocolate the last 2 days. Okay, Paul, go for it. Tell me your vegan story. For instance, I'm using that Noom app, right? So I'm going to tell you what I ate today. All right. Here's what I had for now. Breakfast, by the way, isn't going to seem like a normal breakfast because I do intermittent fasting. I don't eat until noon. So my breakfast is everybody's lunch. Okay. So I had a flour tortilla, um, beans, cherry tomatoes, a little bit of Mexican cheese. I know that's not vegan. Guacamole, and then I had a cup of organic beet juice. Right? No, I didn't do the insurrection. Okay, that was lunch. All right, or that was my breakfast actually. Then lunch, I had some no sugar uh, Oikos Greek yogurt, right, which is actually very good. I put some pumpkin seeds in it, although not too many because I looked at the calories for pumpkin seeds and I was like, fucking A. Oh, that's right. You told me that, Paul. Yeah, you told me that. But you had the heart attack or you had the heart issue, and they were like, wow, if you hadn't been vegan, this would have been, a killer. Yeah, I remember that story now. And then I had some pistachio nuts. So, Paul, if you have any vegan advice for me, feel free to email me. I think you have my email, right? I'm definitely looking for. I was thinking about buying there's got to be a dummies book, right? That was lunch. I bought some beans, like like beans that you have to like actually make, you know. Um, oh, thanks, information, man. You too. Now, once again, don't be shy. If somebody wants to come on and be interviewed by me, you don't have to like contact my assistant or anything. Just I don't even have one. Just tell me in the chat that hey, I'm a broadcaster. I would like to be interviewed, and I would be happy to interview you. I'll invite you right away. I'm trying to interview every broadcaster that's ever been on Happs. And then dinner, I had some broccoli. I had some rainbow chard. And then I had like 2 pieces of PF Chang's crispy honey chicken. I made it for my family, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna have a little bit, but it wasn't. It was like maybe a quarter of a serving. That was dinner. I'm drinking. I've had a couple of cups of tea today. And let's see, what was my afternoon snack? Oh, oatmeal. I had a bowl of oatmeal, and I put some cinnamon in it. What else did I put cinnamon in? Oh, the yogurt. I put cinnamon on yogurt too. I'm pretty sure I'm putting together a treadmill this weekend based on a large box in the middle of the living room that says treadmill on it. Oh, well, good for you. That's great. That'll be a good thing. The goal is to not hang clothes on it ever. The goal is to actually use it. That's the goal. I have a Peloton, and my wife uses it way more than me, but I'm starting to use it daily now. So I'm trying to do mindful meditation. And actually, Masterclass, which I like, they just released a class on meditation and mindfulness, and I was like, holy shit, this is perfect. But yeah, I'm trying to not feel like shit. I think it's possible that it's anxiety. It's also possible that I will be dead within 2 days from a heart attack. I don't know. Hopefully not. But if I am, just know that I really appreciate you guys. You might as well get all your tips out of the way now. Oh, Weight Watchers point system allows one to eat most all vegetables at 0 points. All you can eat. Yeah, it's relatively similar on Noom. They do give you a caloric goal based on your weight and how much you want to lose. And so mine is about 1,400 calories a day. So technically, I could fill it up with fruits and vegetables. But I mean, when you see how many vegetables or how many calories are in like spinach, or how many calories are in I don't know, broccoli. I mean, there's almost no calories in these foods. So you probably could not eat your calorie budget in broccoli. You would probably explode. Um, I don't know. There are 2 pieces of equipment that I would love to get. If anybody is President Day shopping for Aaron Haber, here's my wish list. Tonal, which is that really cool. It's kind of like a mirror, and then has a bench that comes down, and it's all electromagnetic resistance, and so it takes a very small amount of space. That's really cool, but it's fucking expensive. I mean, I'm not, fuck it, I'm not doing that. Then there is Tempo, if you've seen that. Oh, really? You had bad anxiety, and it was recommended I eat little bits of protein throughout the day. So, what do you what do you eat for protein? Could it be seitan? Get it? Seitan. It's Tan, right? My doctor gave me a colonic goal to lose weight. A colonic goal? I mean caloric? You angst it disconcerting? What? Am I having a stroke right now? What the fuck are you guys talking about? I had bad anxiety and it was recommended I eat a little protein. Oh, let it be. Okay, that's let it be. Oh, so what do you end up eating for protein? Is it all Slim Jims? Are you saying my angst is disconcerting? Is that what you're saying, Paul? My doctor gave me a colonic. Is there a comma there or a semicolon? Something about how our brains function without it. Yeah, well, and plus you guys know I have the ADHD, so my brain is like a whole different animal. But yeah, everything is just like it's one of those weird times where I haven't felt more anxious about anything necessarily. How about fasting? How about fasting? I mean, I don't consume anything with calories after dinner at this point until about 11 o'clock the next day. So I'm doing intermittent fast from about 5:30 until about 11 o'clock the next morning. I think it could be muscular too. I don't know. Stop doing Slim Jim. Look how it worked out. Listen, Slim Jim did not make Randy Savage crash his car. I think he had a heart attack to crash his car. I loved Randy Savage. He was great. A little bit of chicken, yogurt, cheese, beans. I used to hard boil eggs. And then what happened? Did you have a bad experience with eggs? Are you guys not on speaking terms anymore? Um, yeah, a lot of this started after I started lifting weights. And so part of me thinks that maybe I like pinched a nerve or something, and maybe that's making me feel like shit. I mean, that's a possibility. I don't know. I don't know. I'll tell you also that today was a well, okay, so getting back to it, I haven't felt the only thing I feel anxious about now is my health. And so if I have like subconscious anxiety that's causing me to feel sick and then have anxiety, I mean, I have experience with panic attacks, and these don't seem like the same thing. But I've just felt shitty. So I'm trying to do everything to eggs weird you out. Yeah. You could be right, Paul. I mean, you very much could be right. Um, and, one of the reasons why I think you might be right, I was talking about Slim Jims and heart attacks, maybe, yes. Well, I have had some pretty vivid COVID anxiety dreams where I wake up and my heart is fucking pounding. But I don't know. It's not like I'm like sitting here worried about COVID all day. I don't know. I guess it's like internalized. I don't know. I can tell you that, my wife is taking it harder than I am, so to speak. She worries how the kids are gonna, react to being this isolated, and other people are doing things and we're missing out, and it's definitely tough. I happen to think that we're all going to be fine, and for me, it's very black and white. Um, get the whole family past this pandemic without any long-term health issues. That's where it is, and we are lucky to be able to be in the position where we can stay at home most of the time, and but I've told you, like in our neighborhood, it's tough to even go out because nobody believes in masks here. I've not seen one person with a mask in our neighborhood. But I've said to my wife, maybe we need to get out a little bit more. Take the older kid, go for a nightly walk. Of course, there are coyotes out here, but uh, go out for a drive. My therapist said today. Here's something interesting. I'll share anything interesting my therapist said. Thursday's my favorite day because it's therapy in the morning and then WandaVision at midnight. Um, she said studies have shown that from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. it is great to go outside and get about 45 minutes of sunlight because I guess at that point there's blue light in the atmosphere, which helps our bodies relax and help us get a restful night's sleep. I don't know. That's what she said. Do they believe in vaccines? I think they believe in vaccines as much as anybody else does. You think it's black and white. It's not, it's omnipresent. Yeah. No, but both could be true. I mean, I am not stressed out. Well, I guess I am stressed out about it. I'm more stressed out that other people don't give a fuck about it, you know? And today was a little bit of a tough day because, Fauci came out and said that, don't worry, by September, we'll have vaccines for those as young as first grade. And I was like, what? Fuck. It's fucking September. And, that takes care of one of my kids. What about the two younger ones? And so I just said to Shannon, it's stressful, but a lot of information is going to come out. There could be therapeutics. If the cases drop to almost nothing because so many people are getting vaccinated or have gotten sick, that's something. Oh, thank you, Revolution Machines. I appreciate that. I lived in Southern California for a while, and I've run into many, many coyotes. And you're right, coyotes generally do, especially a grown human. They do not want to mess with you. You're 100% right. By the way, I should tell you, I haven't gotten your stuff yet, but I should tell everybody I'm doing Revolution Machine show next Tuesday night. I don't know if we have decided upon an exact time yet. I think it's either 7:30 or 8. It'll be right after the Snarky Democrat Live. I'll jump right over and do Revolution Machines show, and I'm excited about that. Our moderator Brenda recommended that I do it, and it seems like a great idea. So I'm excited about that. That'll be next Tuesday night, the 16th, I believe. Oh, you thought of me the other day. Car was acting up, and my maskless neighbor came over. Oh, I know, let it be. And here's the thing. Everybody thinks they're being so nice. Hey, can I help you out and be? Hi, can I help you out and be neighborly? Yes, Revolution Machines. I can't wait. And everybody should follow Revolution Machines and watch him whenever I'm not on. That's that's like 90% of a good plug. The Democrats did a great job. The Democrats did do a great job with their presentation. Let's talk about that in a second, Admiral. Remind me. Yeah, let it be. I mean, people just, I I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Americans are just fucking dumb. It's so disappointing to me. I mean, I feel like a little bit like this is how people felt in the 70s. I was a baby in the 70s. I was born in 74. I know that in the 70s it was really kind of rough in the United States. A lot of poverty and gas lines and Vietnam and things. Okay, so February 16th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. So that'll be right, and Snarky Democrat will be happy about that because he likes to do a 90-minute show. I will literally be jumping over. So you might get me at like 7:32. We're trying to end right, but that's a big show of the week for me and Snarky. But I'll let him know that we have a 7:30 show, and boom. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. You're going to get a 12-foot hula hoop. What does that mean? Yeah, 70s fashion was okay. Yes, it was very distinct, but people really felt like shit being an American in the 70s. I think a lot of people thought that they were fucking losers being an American. And then the whole thing, the Miracle on Ice, and then the 80s and Reagan and everything, and rah rah rah. Thank you, Revolution Machines. I appreciate that. And live in our country now, it's embarrassing. I love the United States of America. I love and I like, I love the United States of, like, I actually love the actual country. Thank you, Revolution Machines. Can somebody send me? Oh yes, yeah, your broadcast. Yeah, you should like record a COVID hoop. Oh, I got it. I got it. You should. Here's an idea for you, Stephen. You should record the night sky or even the day sky for nights where you don't have anything to show because it's cloudy. You can play a pre-recorded video, and you can comment on the video. Just a thought. Or you can even talk about just sky stuff without the video, Just don't do it between 6 and 8 p.m., You're always good about that. You actually, I saw your title before trivia. That was very nice of you. So I love the United States of America, but boy, are we in a shambles right now. I seem happy tonight, do I? Oh, I guess I have a low bar for happiness. Thank you, Paul. Uh, we just had this insurrection. We have a terrible domestic white supremacist problem. Um, the economy is in the shitter for a hell of a lot of people. There's incredible wealth inequality, which is causing, terrible, uh, just a terrible life for a hell of a lot of people. And what else? Well, COVID. I mean, the pandemic. I think we'll come out of it really strong. But this is a shitty time to be an American. This is not like your grandparents' America or your great grandparents, depending on how old you are, where everybody got together and did the hard thing and sacrificed. Nobody sacrifices. Now, of course, there are heroes, right? They're frontline workers, and grocery store workers are heroes. I've said that before. Truckers are heroes. There are heroes who are doing their part in sacrificing and putting themselves out there. I'm not one of them. But but there are fucking tens of millions of people that do not give a fuck. They don't care if they infect their neighbors. They don't care if they infect their community. Excuse me. Like I said, this is allergy season for me. They just don't give a fuck, and they're not willing to sacrifice. Because if the United States was willing to sacrifice, we would have done it. We would have done it. We would have been over this thing already. And for all that, wow, New Zealand and all these other countries, they don't have the population. Australia, the population of California, they all did the thing. And the ones who didn't were in the minority, and they were shunned, and they were ridiculed, and they were even escorted by their own military back inside their fucking homes. Okay? We have let the idea of freedom get bastardized here. Freedom does not mean you can do whatever the fuck you want to do at any time. Okay? There are responsibilities and a duty that comes with freedom to uphold freedom for the next generation and for the country moving forward. And the people that think that they're the most patriotic right now, they do not understand what freedom means. They don't understand sacrifice. It's all very much entitled, selfish bullshit. How else would you defend or would you describe the wanton killing of your fucking community? They don't see it like that, of course, but you go out maskless, you hang out indoors, you don't give a shit who you were around. You're one of the reasons why your hospitalization and death numbers are the way they are in your community. Excuse me, I can blow my nose. Now, thank goodness the numbers are starting to come down a little bit, and that makes me really happy. Now let's take a look at today's numbers, then we'll talk about what you were talking about, Admiral. Now we're at 400, basically 487,000 deaths. I mean, holy shit, right? It's not great. The numbers have gone up a bit. 103,000 cases. Do you remember when it was shocking that we were going to get 100,000 cases? People were like, no way. Do you remember when it was shocking when we had 50,000 cases in a day? So 100,000, yeah, it's not 300,000, but it's still fucking shitty, 3,068 deaths. At this point, you can't even really look at the deaths as an indicator of where we are because you're in the cycle where we are having the most amount of deaths from all that giant surge. And unfortunately, we're still having that. 10,000 new cases in California, 12,000 cases in Texas. My wife was telling me, yeah, we have some friends in Texas. Their kids are going back to school. I'm like, there were 10,000 cases in Texas yesterday. 400 people died. Yeah, they're going back to school. Here in Nevada, we had 509 cases today. It's down from where it was. It's still, it's still high. Not high compared to fucking California, but we don't have we have, I think, 2 or 3 million people here in Nevada. So we're losing the older voice. That's disconcerting. Yes, that is true. So, I'm a Democrat, as you know, but boy, am I just I'm ashamed of the Republicans. And this is not like if I die from a Super Bowl surge, it will be like that game killed me twice. Yes. Oh yeah. Sorry about that, Admiral. Hey, Derek, David, Eli, how you doing? Oh, hello, Aaron, and 2 dogs, or those cats. I can't tell. By the way, I'm still putting it out there. I'm just riffing right now and talking with you guys, which I love. But if anybody wants to be interviewed by me, don't be shy. Ask me, and I will send you an invite, and you can come on. I am running out of time, but I have time probably for one more interview. So I don't think we're going to get to every broadcaster tonight. Um, Now what the fuck was I talking about? Oh, listen. I don't want to destroy uh the Republican. Well, I'll take that back. I want a noble Republican Party. It is okay that we don't agree on everything, right? But when the party is, I'll get to the impeachment in a second, Admiral. Thank you. When the party, when the Republican Party is just fucking supremacy supporting pieces of shit, that's a different thing. And I don't know if you guys have heard, and one of the biggest stories that came out of this week. I was watching Chris Cuomo last night, who I like him, and then there's some things I don't like, but I like the guy. He had on Anthony Scaramucci, who was President Trump's press secretary for, I think, 10 days, 11 days, and he was fired. So he and a bunch of other people were active in the Bush administration and I think both Bush administrations, and just like normal Republicans, not Trumplicans or Trumplicans. They are putting together a third party. They're putting together a center-right third party. Now, basically, center-right, by the way, is what the Republicans were for decades. There was always the fringe of the religious right, and maybe white supremacy had. I mean, there was David Duke and all that, but they never accepted those people as mainstream. And now that is the mainstream. Holy shit! Marjorie Taylor Greene. Holy shit! And so these are the people that don't want a party of Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene. They want like an old school Republican Party, and they may splinter off. Everybody thought that the Patriots, quote unquote, the Trumpers were going to splinter off, and they may do that too. I am very much for it. I'm not for it for a cynical reason like you might think. I'm not for it because like, oh yes, splinter them up and the Democrats will win. That'll probably happen, okay? But honestly, that needs to happen right now because the Republicans are out of their fucking minds. They're going to vote to acquit a president who clearly incited an insurrection against his own government. He tried to have his own vice president killed. Holy shit! If you don't hold this guy accountable, what do you stand for? It's like that great line in Hamilton. If you don't stand for anything, what do you fall for? Probably not just Hamilton, but anyway, the point is, yes, get a third party. And I get that, Paul, that you don't care about the extremists anymore, but those are people. That's right, Abe Lincoln. Thank you very much, Admiral. Those are people who are fucking voting on things. And those are people that the Republicans are rallying around. They might throw Liz Cheney out of the party and keep Marjorie Taylor Greene. Holy shit. The state parties are even worse. Censoring anybody that says anything bad about Donald Trump. It's fucking weird. It's a cult. I want a strong Republican Party, even if it's a different party, even if they call it themselves the center-right party, the centrists. Fine. I might even fucking vote for them. Okay? If it's just like a small difference between like fiscal policy, like Schwarzenegger. He's a Republican. He is a liberal. He's liberal socially. He's a fiscal conservative. I'm sure there's some other things, but he's like a human being. He's not a piece of shit. Even though he's not a Democrat, he's a Republican, but and now probably Republican in name only. But I would vote for a Schwarzenegger Republican. I would vote for a Mitt Romney Republican. I would vote for, I mean, there aren't that many names. When John McCain was alive, if he hadn't picked Sarah Palin, I would have voted for him. Oh, it is so fucking offensive. Okay, so the Democratic House impeachment managers had done a fantastic job. If you haven't been watching it, don't watch 30 hours, but find the videos they made online and watch it. I don't know, Tim Scott. Watch it. It's new footage that you have not seen because they have the closed circuit cameras from from the Congress, the Capitol building. I mean, that guy Eugene Goodman. Oh my God, the captain. I don't think he's a captain, but from the capital city police, the guy that I've been telling you is an American hero. Oh, thank you, Frankie. That's really nice of you. The guy I've been telling you is an American hero because he basically single-handedly led an angry mob of white supremacist insurrectionists away from Congress, who were not protected at that point, and they were still in the building. The guy's, I mean, holy shit, he's a fucking hero, a true American hero, right? Paul Revere, Officer Goodman. I'm not even fucking around. Okay, there was a new video that surfaced that you see Goodman running down a corridor, and he runs into Mitt Romney, who's going the wrong way. Mitt Romney is walking towards the insurrectionists, and he goes, "Get the fuck!" I don't know what he said, but he's like, "Get the fuck out of here!" And Romney turns around and he runs. He saved Mitt Romney's life. Semicolon pal, yeah. And there was footage of Mike Pence, being let out with his family, and we know now the timeline that Trump knew that Mike Pence was being evacuated and that people were coming for him, and Trump tweeted against Mike Pence after he knew that. So he didn't have the courage to whatever. Holy shit! And these Republicans, here's the thing that's offensive, right? Now you learn that the Capitol Police, people say, "Oh, the guy did a selfie and they let him through." The Capitol Police fought like the Night Watch, okay, against the what are they? The Frosty people? What are they? The children of the corn, the night, the ice king. They were like outnumbered by a ridiculous number, and they all fucking fought. One cop lost 3 fingers. They had people gouging eyes. Right. That now they say that the cop wasn't killed by a fire extinguisher, but by a reaction to bear spray, which is fucked up. They had heart attacks. I mean, these people are fucking heroes, and the Republicans. Okay, bye, Paul. Take it easy. Thank you, Paul. The Republicans the Republican senators, okay, who went through this, they're not fucking watching. Constitutionally speaking, they have to be in the chamber, and they are. They're ignoring it, those motherfuckers. They're doodling. I get it. I have ADHD. Okay, I might doodle, but I might doodle while I'm looking up and watching the fucking thing. They don't have the respect for not only the country and the Constitution, but the people who died that day, the people who were injured and maimed that day, the Capital City Police, the country. Fuck them. Fuck them with a hot poker. Holy shit. They're not even fucking paying attention. Oh man. I mean, fuck them. It's dishonorable. These people they're not Americans. They're not honorable. It's, everybody knows that they're not going to vote to convict him, but at least fucking pretend like you're paying attention. Holy shit. Doug Collins. Is it Doug Collins? Doug Collins isn't a senator anymore, is he? Diane Collins? Which Collins is it? I don't know. So, it was interesting. The guy Scaramucci was talking about how they're going to create a third party. And what they want to do is they want to put pressure on McConnell, and they want to try to get like a Romney, a Murkowski. Who's the other one? They're like maybe 3 or 4 or 5. Oh, Suzanne Collins. That's what I'm thinking of. Thank you. To go to McConnell and say, "Hey, just so you know, if the Republicans acquit Trump after it's clear that he should be convicted, we're going to caucus with the Democrats." That would be a thing. I mean, even if one of them said they were going to caucus with the Democrats, that would be a thing. Freckles doing a little sleeping puppy stretch. That would be a thing. So I don't know. But yes, they've done a great job. And supposedly the Trump defense team is going to do like a 3-hour, possibly like half a day. Fine, great. But now, another thing that's being floated, by the way, which I don't think is going to happen, but I don't understand the legality of it. But they were talking last night as if it was legal. The Cuomo and Scaramucci, they were saying, well, these senators are not going to vote for impeachment, these Republican senators, but what they will do is they won't show up to vote. They just won't show up to vote. Now, I thought it had to be 3/4 of the Senate but apparently it has to be 3/4 of the people that are present to vote. And so if you have, I don't know, 20, 25 senators not show up to vote, all of a sudden the math changes. And I don't know, let's do the math. Let's say you didn't have 25 Republican senators show up to vote. So you have 75 times point two-thirds is 66.66. You would need less than 50. My math might be wrong. Feel free to correct me. You would need less than 50%. That would be the majority of the people voting. And then he would be convicted with less than 67 votes. Now, if you ask me, it's kind of cowardly if you're going to do that. I don't think they're going to do it, because if they do it, they're just as bad in Trump's eyes as voting against him. So I don't know. Admiral, this whole thing about trying to interview, we've had a few interesting people. You did it. Steven did it. Space Gal Helen. Those are two different people, by the way. And now this guy, his name Daniel? What was his name? Daniel Miner, was that his name? He's a nice guy. I'm looking him up in the comments. I'm not great with names. Yeah, Daniel Miner. So that was fun, but I don't know. I'm not going to give up my quest, but it seems very hard to try and interview every Happs broadcaster without letting them know I'm going to do it. I don't know. I'm still going to try. The senators need to start fake coughing. Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, well, that would be, that would be a really interesting thing. We have a huge COVID outbreak on the Republican side. We can't possibly come and infect our, it's just the rules of the Senate. Sorry. That'd be interesting. So here's what I did the other day, by the way. I purchased a Castle Grayskull. Hey, Brenda, how you doing? I was talking about you before. You could do it. Switching gears for a second, I purchased a Castle Grayskull. Every once in a while, I casually look for a Castle Grayskull. If you don't know what Castle Grayskull is, it was the He-Man of the Masters of the Universe. It was the big playset. Yes, exactly, He-Man, big playset. And I've seen it being sold for anywhere, depending on the condition of it, for like $100 to $300. I was like, I just want to put it in my office as like a nostalgic, like, yeah, I look at it and go, He-Man, yeah. And last night, yeah, I had one too, right? I didn't have Snake Mountain, but I had Castle Grayskull. I had a Death Star, which was interesting. Oh no, you didn't even know I was on? Well, Brenda, I'm on every day right around 6 o'clock. So if you don't get a thing, let it be. No, it's random. Let it be. I read one from those preset meal places deliver 4 dinners for 2 to prepare and serve. What? Castle Grayskull? You're gonna eat a Castle Gray? What? Anyway, I looked on this thing. I looked on this one site, and it was like $30. Now it wasn't. I don't think it was complete, but I don't need. I'm not even going to open it. I don't need it to be opened. I don't need the plastic pieces on the inside. Oh yeah, well, Voltron was cool. I keep looking for a 3D print to print a full Ultron, but $30. I think it was like maybe $12 shipping. I understand that, Brenda. Set an alarm on your phone. Aaron Haber time. And by the way, Brenda, I'm doing Revolution Machine show next Tuesday, February 16th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, after right after Snarky Democrat, live. That's a pretty good deal. I was like, wait a second, is this a mini one? No, I think it's a full size one. If it's a mini one, that sucks. But I've seen the mini ones; it didn't look like it. And I was like, if I don't buy this now, someone's going to buy this in like 2 seconds, because that is like 10% of what people usually charge for a Castle Grayskull. So I'll show it to you when it comes. Cool, Brenda. Yeah, thank you for hooking that up. I told it when Revolution Machines was here for a second. I told everybody that it was you who suggested it. So thank you. Anyway, well, if any of you guys, are like vegan, let me know. Oh, Twitch and Happs. Oh, and I can stream to Twitch from Happs. Oh, cool. Okay. Well, I'll probably hook that up then. I guess now you can switch. You can stream from Twitch to Happs. That's cool. Good job, Happs. My brother has a metal Voltron, and wouldn't you know it, the plastic one is worth more as a collectible. That's interesting. Oh yeah. I mean, I was looking at some of these, but that's the thing. Nobody has them. Yeah. There's a lag. What are you gonna do? Yeah. But you don't know when I look at your. Anyway, I just realized the time. I've had a great time with you guys. Thank you. I want to thank Daniel Miner for coming on. Make sure you follow Daniel. He's going to be talking about philosophy. He's an American dude living in Japan for 30 years. Apple. And I'll be on tomorrow night just to fuck around. I'll probably do the same thing tomorrow night. Oh, you're talking about like eating healthy? Is that what you're talking about, Steven? They deliver all the ingredients to prepare 4 different meals for 2 people. Comes, I know, I know, and it's stupid, but I don't trust it right now. I mean, I'm getting fruits and vegetables from the grocery store from Instacart people, so 15 seconds. That's cool. And recipe cards. Yeah, I did that for a while in New York. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, maybe I'll do something like that again. They have like Blue Plate and Freshly and this came out of my asshole.com. I think that's one I'd stay away from. Oh, anyway, I'm going to be on tomorrow. I'll tell you what, I'm going to be on tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And if you know anybody that wants to be interviewed by me, tell them to come tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific time because, I'll be doing that tomorrow at 6 p.m. I wish when I pre-schedule the broadcast, I can write a little description on it. I guess I can write a post. Oh, thank you, Admiral. I appreciate that. Once again, thank you to my sponsors, Admiral, Jack Bury, Mark Gage, Tina Lynn, Yoder, Sports for the Blind, and Jason Short. If you want to become a sponsor and have me like you 20% more than I like anybody else, go to my profile and click on the sponsor Aaron or whatever it says, and feel free to throw a buck or two or whatever you think is worthwhile. That's it for tonight. Follow me on Twitter. Honestly, I'm not doing anything right now. I'm just trying to stay alive. At Aaron Haber on Twitter, on Snapchat, if you want to show me your butt. And gosh, what else? You can always email too, theaaronhaber@gmail.com. Oh, thank you. I didn't even know you were still here, Daniel. Yeah, thank you, Daniel. Spread the word. You're always welcome back too, because I do have to interview every broadcaster within one broadcast, so that'll have to include you as well. All right, thank you, everybody. Follow Daniel's comments right there. I will see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Good night.